Hello.
Hey guys! Alright, so for episode 2, I'm here with Maplestreet, the AD Carry of Team8. So I'd like to begin by asking, at the beginning of your pro career, you were better known as a streamer than a player. I was wondering if you could give me some thoughts on what it was like streaming at that time.
I wouldn't really agree with that statement,
Really?
but
What would you say? What would you say then?
I don't know. I was always trying to go pro, and like I was on a bunch of amateur teams that were like on the way to getting into LCS.
Hmm.
And then I started streaming like January on and off. I really don't stream too often actually. I guess the majority of people know me from Velocity. I've never really hit very high stream numbers,
Oh, okay
in
then.
my opinion at least.
Okay, so well then I wanted to ask, how do you feel like you got noticed? Like, how did you begin your pro career? Like, get noticed, start getting picked up by teams?
Well, in season two, I was just like the Draven guy. I just like started going really hard in solo queue, and I made it all the way up to 2600 on my first season, which was the very high diamond. Is like top 50 in ELO.
Hmm.
And then from there, I just like played a few Go for Lols, made a few connections with Prolly Guitar, and eventually they would play without me in the first LCS qualifiers. And then I joined the team right after LCS qualifiers because they needed a new bot lane.
Oh, okay. Who did you play with for the first LCS qualifiers?
I didn't actually play it. It's
Oh.
a weird story.
Oh wait, tell us about it. What happened?
Okay, well, I don't know. It kind of implicates another player, so
So would you
I'll
prefer?
just say like my champion pool wasn't very strong at the
Mhm.
time, and someone like called me a two-trick pony and like made me
Ouch.
feel really bad on it on my team. So then I just like randomly rage quit the damn team like an idiot.
I'm
And
sorry
I
to
would
hear that.
later find out that all the players in like the first qualifiers were like super bad. Like
I,
I could have crushed all of them.
I'm sorry to hear that. What were the two champions you were known for at the time? Draven and who else?
Well, it was mostly Draven. I could play Ezreal Graves as well.
Hmm.
And after the first split, my Misfortune and Draven were both like one of the best in the world, I would say, because no one else really played either of those champs. But both were completely broken, and no one like seemed to know.
So you think that part of your strength was just picking up on these characters at the right time?
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of theory crafting, so I like
Oh.
can kind of discover what's OP and what isn't OP. So it was very easy for me to see that Draven was completely imbalanced in every way.
Um. Okay, actually, about that. What made you actually want to start playing the AD role? Because thinking that you're like the odd one's brother, you might want to play something that like mid or top that like that have roles have more synergy. Or what made you start playing AD?
Well, like I started playing League late season 2, and how I got into it was basically I finally got this laptop that could run League. So then, because my old computer was a 2002 Windows XP, and like it would not run League at all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I got this laptop that could play League at like 50 FPS. It was pretty cool. So the very first thing because I watched a bunch of streams before, like when Brian, the odd one,
Mm-hmm.
went to season one finals. That was when I finally like fig finally found out that he was like a pro player or whatever. It's like,
Oh.
oh, he left the house to go to this League event. That's just news to me. So like I watched streams on and off, like mostly just tournaments that TSM participated in, and I knew I wanted to main AD because it seemed like the easiest role to learn what all the champions do around me. So I mained like Tristana, and like Tristana is just you sit in the back, auto attack, and you watch these Jaxes and Aurelias like absolutely murder everything else. But like if you just position well enough, you'll win every game. And like I won like every game.
So that was your first main, Tristana?
Yeah, I made AD just to stand in the back, and Tristana was the king of standing far, far back in the team fight.
Okay, I would say that you're more of like one of the second generation of pros. So like the first generation would be like like the Reginalds, the odd one. What do you think about Fabi, the AD carry, who also made Draven? Like he also kind of broke into the scene. What do you think about this player?
Fabi is a very average player. I wouldn't say he's LCS level.
You wouldn't say he's LCS level.
I wouldn't say he's LCS level. He's like Zuna tier or something.
Okay, I actually wanted to ask a quick thought about that. What did you think about the newly announced cognitive lineup with Arthalon, Fabi, and I know that you've played fives with True ID before, a close friend told me. So do you think their lineup will enjoy success?
Who else is on the team?
Sin and Body Drop. Sin top lane, Body Drop
That team
support.
doesn't sound very good. That's not an LCS level team. That's not a like top five challenger team.
I also wanted to ask what new players do you think have stand a chance of breaking into the LCS?
It's very hard to say because like there's not enough tournaments in the amateur scene to keep a lot of people interested.
Mhm.
Like a lot of people have to move on to college and whatnot, and there really isn't any like random solo queue superstars in my opinion. Like Executioner Ken is like one of my friends, and I really think he's a godly support, but he's probably just going to continue with college.
Mhm.
Hit Challenger, she's really good, and she's in college as well. Like everyone has other priorities in life, so like I don't think they can like quickly become LCS level, but I think if there was more tournaments, I could say who
Mhm.
could like make it in because then there would be like more people trying to go competitive. Right now, it just seems that the best way to continue League is just to stream.
Okay, actually, I was gonna ask you this later on, but seeing as it came up right now, I guess I ask you now. You've had several thoughts concerning how the Challenger system is flawed. How would you personally redesign it?
I haven't really spoken that it's flawed. I mean, a few of the flaws were that the bracket wasn't completely known before, like a few days before the games.
Hmm.
Like, there was no way we would know that after winning our game and like all the other teams above us in seeds winning their games would put us against LMQ in game one.
Oh.
So we were like the fifth seed or something
Hmm.
going into the ranked five thing, and it just happened that like three teams above us won. So like the four, or wait, there's five teams, and all four teams above us won their like
Oh.
game, and that put us against LMQ in the seeds.
Mm.
So like we could have grinded those ranked five games that like no one was playing. Like North American scene is really bad because like our ranked fives, we didn't even fill out every spot in the ladder for the qualifier. Like it's a bit of a joke that like only 12 teams showed up or whatever.
Hmm.
So yeah, like in Europe, those spots are hotly contested. Like everyone is like killing each other. Everyone's like win trading. Everyone's like doing these shady things just to get a better seed and stuff. But like to us, it wasn't like very visible, and it didn't seem like it was worth it to grind these like 60-minute queues to
Mm.
get this like 10-minute stomp.
So you think that there should have been clarity issues in heading into the Challenger ladder as well as additional tournaments to support the
Yeah.
scene?
Also, only having two tournaments, like the very first Challenger series was very heavily luck based,
Oh, what
in
makes you
my
say
opinion.
that? What makes you say that?
Everyone was avoiding LMQ, and like the seeding is really strange too. It's like there's these four man or there's these five four-man groups and whatever. So
Hmm.
like it's like number one, number five, number one and 20 plus 11 and 12 are all in like the same. So you had to avoid number two, which was LMQ. So you had to avoid number two, number 19, number 12, and number 9 seeds, or you'd have no chance at Series 1. And like Team8 got uh seeded against LMQ. So they didn't even get points in the first series. They didn't even make it through the ranked fives part. So like there's no second chance, there's no lower bracket, and we got LMQ twice in a row, so like shit happens, I guess. I don't know. We should have won if we wanted to make it in, but like Team 8 is the second best challenger team and we have no shot at making LCS split.
I'm really sorry to hear that. And I do think that you guys were one of the top Challenger teams. I was meaning to ask about that later on when we moved down to talk about Team 8 and like what's going on with them right now. So moving on from how you broke into the scene, I'd like to ask some questions about your time on Dirtnap Gaming and Velocity.
Yeah.
So first off, there was an organizational switch from Dirtnap Gaming to Velocity, and I wasn't quite sure. So I feel like most people don't really understand how organizations in the Challenger scene work. Could you explain why there was the decision to switch from Dirtnap to Velocity?
Well, I would say Dirtnap was my very first big team.
Mhm.
Dirtnap is just this like gaming forum. They don't actually really like provide too much.
Oh,
I don't know if I should be like publicly saying random stuff, but like we didn't want to be under the banner if like we weren't gonna get much for it.
yeah,
We're
yeah,
just like promoting some random site and then we're gonna like make LCS and it's like okay.
yeah. No, I totally know what
I'm
you mean.
not sure why we were even with these people. So we did this weird startup organization thing to
Oh,
try to get like more benefits out of like having a team
s-
sponsor.
so Velocity was your own organization, like it was formed by the players.
Kind of. It was supposed to be like formed with these very like business swabby guys or whatever, but they didn't really give us much. I mean, they found us a house, which was amazing, but it was this guy that was outside of the organization that got us our house and did like everything for us. So like the entire organization of Velocity like is not really an organization. I have no idea what they do. They just have like connections to some popular YouTubers and my freaking camera's frozen. I see you, camera.
Yeah, it's not operative right now. Wait, would you like me to pause for a bit as you adjust it? Or
I don't know. It freezes a lot, so I'm sorry.
oh no, 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 no worries, no worries. I mean, we're all here. We're hearing what you're saying, so that's what's the important part.
Yeah, I'm just
Um,
a ventriloquist.
um,
Alright, I'm alive again.
all right. So my next question is, back for a while, you guys had Prawley on the team
Hmm.
for the longest time on Dirtnap, and I've been reading some old posts, and you guys were kind of considered rivals to the C9 lineup. How good was the team with Prawley exactly?
Well, it was very interesting. Like, Durnap Gaming was the best challenger team for quite a few months. Like, I was abusing Draven and Misfortune, and both were completely broken. And then Cloud9 shows up to every LAN event that we were kind of, like, favored to win.
Hmm.
And they would just crush us with, like, completely new champions and strategies that we've never played against. So,
Hmm.
like, there was the MOG Anaheim. Was it Anaheim? MOG. No, wait, it was an MOG Dallas. So we 2-0'd Curse Academy, which we didn't expect because they had really good players like I Will Dominate and All Tech and stuff,
Hmm.
and their team looked really solid.
Hmm.
But we 2-0'd them, and then it's like, yeah, we're gonna go into the finals tour against Cloud9 and beat them. And then they ran AP Janna support, took away Draven from us. Like there was two hotly contested picks at the time, Draven and Elise, and both of us knew that those champions were broken. Meteos had just gotten really, really good apparently
Hmm.
because he played all the metagame champions and just crapped on everyone. Sneaky Lemon were both an excellent lane. High stopped feeding in mid lane and started destroying everyone. And Balls is now like the best player in North America.
You think Balls is the best player like out of everyone in North America?
Okay, maybe it's like a tie between him and Bjertsen, but Bald is
Wow,
like the most
wow,
consistent player in
wow,
North America, in my opinion.
wow. That makes me want to ask a quick question about the Curse Academy lineup you brought up. You said they had some really strong back then. Their team, I believe, was Pobelter, I Will Dominate, Rux, Altec, and their support was Influx. I think they swapped several players in that role. But
Yeah.
how strong do you think that lineup would be had they continued staying together?
Mm, I'm not too sure. I mean, they seemed to do really badly at LAN, but they had like flight issues getting into there. But they would also play in the IPL6 replacement LAN later on,
Hmm.
like where we got destroyed by Cloud9 again. But the finals was a 3-2 for Cloud9.
Hmm.
And those were weird games. It was like I will dominate versus the world, but I will dominate would also throw away the game by like engaging 1v5 as well. Like that was Curse Academy entirely. It was dominate carrying the hell out of them, and
Hmm.
dominate just like engaging 1 versus 5 later on in the game. I have
That
no idea why you'd always go so ham. But dominate I considered to be like a really, really amazing player, and I don't know. I guess that team had potential, but.
you've actually did have a lot of praise for Dominate. Do you think he's been underperforming right now on Curse, or do you think the issues with Curse have nothing to do with Dominate?
Uh, I'm not too sure. I mean, like, thinking back on the challenger scene performances, he definitely made a lot of really strange mistakes that wouldn't be really acceptable at an LCS level. So I think that he has the potential to do a lot better. Like, he can fix these really simple mistakes, but I don't think Voy is very strong on Curse, and that might be, like, a lot of their issues.
Hmm.
Because I see him play like Nidalee, and like you compare it to Bjergsen or something, and then it's like one person hits 90% of the spears, the other person hits like 10%. The inverse happens.
Um, all right, so I wanted to ask about how exactly that velocity lineup worked. So, well, you guys originally had Prawley, but then you guys brought in Vile Rose, I believe, to be a shot caller. Is that true?
Oh my god. This whole story has never like been told, and it's so ridiculous that everyone thought Rose was the shot caller.
You should
It
definitely
makes me
explain
and
now.
NK so mad to this day.
You should definitely tell it now.
'Cause-
So, what happened with that?
So, anyways, probably left for complexity because it seemed like a much better opportunity.
Hmm.
Like, damn, my camera froze at a horrible spot.
Yeah, it's okay.
Anyways, all
Just keep
right.
going. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
yeah. So, let's see. With Prolly, we were really good, and like Prolly got an offer from Complexity to replace Trooper. So on Complexity, he was making LCS dollars and whatnot,
Hmm.
and Velocity looked like a team that was crap because we kept going against Cloud9 and getting absolutely shat on. So, so anyways, Prolly left for Complexity a few weeks before relegations, and we had to pick a player,
Hmm.
and it was down to two players. One person who you might have heard of named Dr. Kloss, who
Yes, we
didn't speak that much,
really.
and the other person was
Boss.
Wild Rose, who spoke a bunch. And we freaking went with Wild Rose, but it paid off because we made LCS. He yelled loudly, and like Martin was so demoralized that they just completely flopped on LCS day. They were so bad on LCS day. But like Chris carried the hell out of the team. I was really bad at lane at the time. Pyros would like lose his lane. Frickin' me and Evan would go like even or a bit worse, and Chris would just crap on Mega Zero and whatnot.
Wait, do you think that Marvin was a stronger team than you guys? Because you mentioned that they choked at LAN, and that's why you guys won.
I mean, it's the best of five, and like we dominated their lanes every game, so like
Hmm.
I'm either overestimating them or they're just really bad.
Okay, so I actually did want to ask about Chris. He has kind of a reputation in the community for being kind of a one-trick pony on like Riven, Elise, Jace. Like he generally tends to pick one champ and focus a lot on it. Is that a true thing about Chris? Like, how does he practice?
Hmm. I think Chris doesn't like use logic in his picks. He's just like, I like this champion. I'm playing it. So he's playing this like tank Elise like months after it became terrible. And it's like free win, damn it. Like I don't know. Chris played. He had a few champions as pro. He was definitely not a one-trick pony. He played numerous champions very, very well. But yeah, I guess that's all there is to him. He can play a bunch of champions, but he definitely focuses on champions. Jace is currently the champion he's focusing, I believe.
He's actually top of the solo queue ladder right now. Thought I'd put that
No,
out
Chris, the legend of North America.
there. Yeah. Wait, so why did you guys bench this Legend of North America for Vile Rose top lane?
Oh, Chris is just on and off toxic, and
Mm.
I'm like kind of on and off toxic, but like I for some reason constantly like argue with top laners.
Oh, so is you two guys kind of like going at each other?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, like, yeah, let's just say it was that.
Oh, okay, okay. Um, and then the last person I want to ask about was NK Inc., who I think the community reputation at the time was that he carried your Velocity squad pretty hard. Would you agree, disagree?
I don't know. Like me and NK were probably the best slash most consistent players. I threw a few games which I like feel really bad about
Still?
on the LCS days. Yeah, I always feel bad about losing.
Mm.
Like, I spend a crap load of time playing League, so I like hate myself every mistake, and I just keep playing. So NK, yeah, he is definitely like he made some incredibly good plays on Lee Sin and whatnot, and like for the most part he would never feed, so he did really well.
Okay. So now I actually wanted to talk about some of your opponents on the LCS.
All right,
There's a lot of pretty notable AD players in the LCS. Could you give me your thoughts on some of them? Who did you find particularly notable when you played against them, or
all
not as
right.
notable?
So during the LCS splits I played in, you wanna hear all the AD carries? Alright, so TSM had Wild Turtle and Xpecial. We went 0-4 against them, but they would just cheese us level 1 every time, so that was a weird battle. I don't think they're like that amazing. There was Double Lift and Afromoo.
No, it was Doublelift and Chouster at the time, I
Oh
believe.
yeah, Chouster. Oh yeah, Chouster would like throw the lane so hard over and over. Okay. I would beat Double Lift almost every single game. Like almost half our wins were from COG. And like we could have 3-1 them, but
Uh,
we like super trolled the last game because
uh,
we were already like relegated.
was that the game you guys picked Victor and Kennen, I believe?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay.
And we still had a competitive game, even though my AD Kitten like has no idea what he's doing. I just like ult into people for no reason and just suicide. But anyways, what else was there? There was Vulcan who had Zuna and Bloodwater. I think they were really good because Bloodwater played Sona Fresh.
Mm-hmm.
Both champions are like so lane dominant, and since he did it so well that like I could not beat them basically.
Zunich has taken quite a beating from the community recently. Do you think he's good?
No,
No, you thought Bloodwater carried the lane really hard.
kind of. I mean, Zuna's good, but not LCS good, I would say.
Oh, okay.
So then there was Cloud9. I would say Cloud9 was the best team. Best bot
The
lane
best
by
bot
far.
lane. Do you still think they're the best bot lane?
Mm, yeah, I mean, like, whenever I see Cloud9 lose in bot lane, it's like they get cheese level 1. There's like 3 red bush camp, levitation, base check shit, first blood.
Oh my god, yeah. Lemon.
The Ashe Zyra lane, I could not find a counter for that. I got shit on by it every time. Lemonation always gets these like cheesy things. Like Lemonation was the first kind of cheesy player, but like it's just smart playing. I say cheesy because like no one knew what the hell it was at the time. He was like the first one to bring out flat HP Quints in like the North American scene, and he's like, I've got 200 extra health at level 1 and a Torrent shoot. I'm going all in, and then you just like fall into the trap and trade with him and just get completely wrecked. So what other teams were there again? There was Coast who had Mash Me and Daydreaming.
Yeah, what do you think of Mash Me? Because you've played with him in the
I
NACL
think Mash
also.
Me was a lot better than Daydreaming, but I don't know. That lane was like generally very even. I'd actually beat that lane
Which,
consistently, I think.
what do you mean when you say Mash Me was a lot better than Daydreaming? Do you think Daydreaming was like holding him back, or like Daydreaming wasn't at that high level, or what? Because they ended up benching Mash Me and keeping Daydreaming. So.
I know. I think that was because of personality issues.
Oh.
I don't think Daydreamin like makes too many plays. Like he was known for just picking Blitzcrank like 1 week,
Hmm.
and then he like didn't play him again or something. So, I don't know. The Coast just seems to like have a heavy bot lane, but I think it's improving this split. Like Wiz Fujin looks like he's slowly getting off his land jitters. He's definitely a very good player. So then, what was the other team? There was Curse.
Dignitas, and
Curse and
Curse.
Cop.
Yes, Curse
Yeah,
with Cop and Edward at the time, actually.
the coward lane.
What do you think of Edward actually? Because it was a really interesting move from Curse to import him.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I wasn't like ever like, oh my god, Edward's a god. He's carrying so hard. But like, I would say Cobb's strength is definitely in his laning phase,
Hmm.
but he would also make like very scared plays. There's like the famous play where like Edward is hooking me towards the turret, and then like Cobb's running away from
Yeah.
me, and I have like 200 HP. Then Edward's like face palming on the
Oh yeah.
camera.
I do remember
Uh,
that.
Cop plays very scared, and you only played like Misfortune that split, I believe.
Do you think Cop still plays scared? Because he's actually received a lot of hype from the community. They think he
I don't
carries
even
Curse
know
really
why
hard.
he like. Does anyone else think Cop is underrated?
Oh
Like that
yeah.
most reaches #1 every damn week, and like I think Cop's very overrated by the community right now.
You think?
He's not like a top 3 AD carry, so I think he's not like that amazing. Like I've seen team fights and I've seen games where like Cop loses when he's like 9-0 or whatever,
Mhm.
and he just would like play these team fights kind of poorly. He'd play them really far back and like get in minimal amounts of auto attacks, and it's like, oh, and of course you're gonna lose if you don't. If you're, and he would do some stuff like going defensive items, which I think is a mistake. If your team's super behind and you're the only one that's fed, like you have to take the risks to build that damage item to make up for the lack of damage on your team.
And
And he was on Lucian too, so like I don't think Hop is that amazing. His laning phase is very, very good though, and Bunny can carry the hell out of him.
the
So
last,
then there's Dignitas,
yeah, Dignitas
PewDiePie,
was another guy.
and
It was Patoy at the
Patoy.
time. How
Yeah,
do you feel about Patoy?
I thought Patoy was super, super, super good, and then he just fell off the face of the planet. R.I.P. Patoy, we miss you. Please come back. I don't know what Patoy does. I heard a lot of things that like Patoy just simply didn't play League outside of like scrims, and that I would see him arguing with Team Dignitas every damn LCS match. Like we're like moving in the set up our stuff, and then Patoy's like yelling back and forth. Cutie Pie and Patoy are just, I think they're pretty average. I don't know, nothing too special.
Okay, so now that we've gone through this rundown, well, right after the season ended, there was a shocking announcement that you were going to move into the mid lane. So, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about that whole situation?
Yeah, basically Echo was like brought in to replace the low hole we had with Rose leaving.
Mm-hmm.
And Echo, after like LCS ended, he was just like, "See ya, I'm joining this other team,
It was the Bop Squad. I think they fell apart.
Bebop Squad."
Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't really go far, honestly. Uh, I don't know what to say. He like literally told us that Hoodstomp and Low Pally was like the best bot lane in North America.
Oh.
I was just like so shocked.
Well,
And
they're
then
on
they
low
would
pro,
later
yeah.
lose this like qualifier to like some tournament against some bad team, and I'm just like, wow. So then like me and Evan Iskis weren't working out. I
Mhm.
think just the problem was Evan Iskis wasn't like growing as a player as fast as he needed to.
Mm.
In my opinion. I mean, like
Mm.
we will argue that back and forth and like pretend the other one's crap.
Mhm.
But for the most part, I think I was like LCS level.
Mhm.
So like they moved me mid since here in North America we have the irrational like emotional side of gaming. We just love our friends so much that we keep our old friends and old talent, constantly use them despite newer talent being like better or anything. Because we could have used Glebe Larbu as a sub. I think like I should have tried that out.
So you would have preferred to sub in Glebe as support, have you stay in AD carry and pick up a new mid laner.
Well, like since that's all in the past and I didn't make LCS split,
Mhm.
I feel like my career is in jeopardy in a way. Like
Mhm.
I should have just made the most out of my opportunity. Like
Mm.
I should have been cutthroat, bloodthirsty. I don't know. Like I should have just wanted to win before like not wanting to hurt people's feelings or something. I don't know. So wait, what was I talking about?
We were
Oh yeah,
just.
why I moved mid. So yeah, because I didn't work. We didn't work out with Evan. Like
Mhm.
I went to mid lane and every like kind of streamed game I had, most of them were against like Arthalon.
Mhm.
I would appear to do very, very poorly. But every time I went against Arthalon, he ran a champion I never played against in my life. Like he would run Fizz, Vladimir. Drax wasn't like super popular at the time. Like I don't know. I'd fall for his fucking cheese. He would cheese me with 30 points in offense, Fizz, level one. I fell for it. I died to it, level one. I'm done. This game's too hard. No, but like, yeah. Damn Arphalon, dude. It was so embarrassing because everyone would tell me that how bad Arphalon was, and I just died to him. I don't know how the hell to play against this champion. But anyways, I don't know. I was actually slowly getting better at mid lane.
Mhm.
What had happened was like I would feed out of control in a lot of scrims just to like see what the enemy does in their matchup.
Mm.
Because I don't know how to play mid lane. I better just like be the test dummy and throw myself into the enemy and see like how to play the champion well and look at the spell rotations and everything. So after a month, I was actually pretty decent at mid.
Mhm.
but like by then velocity was like dropped or whatever.
Yeah. Actually, speaking about that, what was the? I feel like you guys never got to say your part with the whole velocity incident. What happened with you guys getting dropped like that?
Well, basically how LCS works is the organizations are supposed to own the spot
Hmm.
every time, but like the stupid shady managers in EU and whatever like mess that up really hard, so like Riot has to like give it to the players sometimes.
Mm.
But like since Guitar is a pretty nice guy, I would say he's a pretty nice guy too. They gave responsibility of the spot to him, and then they just like replaced all of us. So like I would probably do the same in his situation. I mean, he's stuck with this like deadweight team that isn't even winning NACL season 1,
Hmm.
and like he gave up his job to move out to play and to manage the team or whatever. So like we all got dropped. We deserved it. I mean, like we didn't even have very good team chemistry. Everyone
Mm.
like slowly started to give less and less of a shit. I mean, I'm a true believer in like uh the talented players who'd get a chance and whatnot. And like if we don't perform, we don't win. Like we don't deserve shit. Like we shouldn't even like the bad players of this game shouldn't even be in the scene. Like they should pack their shit, go home. They're done with League. You give a chance to someone else that's good. I don't know. So like if we wanted to like stay in LCS, we should have been winning. Like it was unfair that we got kicked past the ranked fives deadline, so we had no chance of making LCS or money. But
Hmm.
like I don't know. He just got an opportunity out of the blue that like Evo Geniuses didn't want to keep Crepo, Snoopy, and Yellow Pete with their like two solo superstars or whatever.
Hmm.
So that's how it happened.
Okay, well, now I'd like to move on to your time on Team 8.
All right.
So, could you give me some thoughts on LMQ? I felt like you guys played them one on one better than any other team did. Could you give me some of your thoughts on that team?
Yeah, I would definitely say so too, because Slushi is an extremely talented mid laner. And like the problem that most teams have against LMQ
Hmm.
is they get crapped on mid lane really, really hard. And either that or they completely do not understand the metagame. And like we understand the metagame, LMQ understands the metagame. Let's duke it out. So LMQ is definitely a team that's ahead of the metagame against like the bottom four LCS teams don't know how to play the metagame as well as me and us and LMQ do. So LMQ I think should easily make LCS. And I don't know, we had really close games because our mid was very good. I was very good. And Cali would do very unconventional and like good picks against every team. But Ackerman's really good too, and he would counterpick it. So like we play Vlad and he'd play Jarvan, and like game's over.
Oh
Jarvan
yeah,
dumpsters Vlad.
I remember seeing that game. I thought those picks were really strange, so it's good to get an explanation of what actually happened right now with the counter pick situation. I didn't know why he picked Jarvan.
Jarvan presses Q, and Vlad like barely lifesteals early on, and Q is like this heavy physical damage spell.
Hmm.
And like Jarvan doesn't take any skill to play, but it's like the best counter to Vlad. It just completely is a completely one-sided lane.
Okay. So wait. So you mentioned that the bottom four LCS teams don't know how to play like you and LMQ do. So if LMQ was in the LCS, where would you rank them behind? Like who would you rank them behind? Who would be the top
It
four
would
ahead of
just
them?
be top four. I mean, like they would be behind COG, TSM, and Cloud9. You all have understanding of the metagame. Well, TSM recently, I don't know what TSM's been doing the past few weeks. They just like look like they have no idea what to do on this patch. But anyways, which is really confusing because they were doing perfectly fine, and like the patch didn't change that much. But yeah, but Cloud9, TSM, and COG all have like more experience than them, so I think they would finish higher, and I would just put LMQ at fourth.
Hmm. Okay. Do you think it would have been fifth then had you guys qualified?
Uh, it was definitely a very quick progress we made from being a really average team to very good, so I do not think we would even finish top six.
Oh, okay.
Unless we like had our level of skill the entire way, then we'd finish like top five, top four.
Okay. Um, well, I'd appreciate if you could talk a little bit more about your team. Like, give us a quick rundown of your fellow team members on Team 8, because actually, I'd say the community doesn't know them very well.
Yeah, so essentially what happened was the NA Challenger Series 1,
Hmm.
Richie Rich left the team and like Chue went to Korea and it was just like, screw this. Let's find some other players. So Slushy contacts me and I play mid for them for like a dozen weeks and then we just swap because I suck at mid and it turns out Slushy is like the best mid laner I've ever seen. Like Slushy is this god somehow. So anyways, we have California Lols, aka Trollols, now in the top lane.
Hmm.
He plays a lot of unconventional stuff, I guess. He's from South Korea. He used to be like an amateur of StarCraft, but like an amateur where he'd like play against all the pros and stuff. So like he almost made it pro in StarCraft. I'm not sure how that went, but
Oh, I didn't
yeah,
know.
he went to North America, and now he's going to pharmacy school starting in August, which
Mm.
is when he'll leave the team. But Kelly's really good generally. Sometimes he feeds, but a lot of the time in the late game he makes these very aggressive calls,
Hmm.
which generally pay off. Sometimes it doesn't. Then we,
Is
in the jungle, we had Philomeny, aka Guess 8, for the longest time, but like we had to kick him when he just straight up didn't show up for practice.
oh.
Like I think he was I don't know if I should say this, but I think he was just like hanging out with his girlfriend a bit too much and would
Oh.
just straight up ignore practice times
Oh.
too. Yeah, so then we had to bring in Porpoise Pops right now. He's probably permanent, but he like oversleeps our practice, so like we're yelling at him constantly. So you better get that. He better fix that.
Hopefully he'll get the message if he watches this video.
Yeah, Mr. Braden Pops. Okay. But he was number 2 in Challenger, I believe.
Mm.
Porpoise is pretty good, I would say. Like against LMQ, we kind of did very poorly, but I guess it was like all of our faults. We lost. Dodo is the support. He's very good as well. Like I don't think his mechanics are number 1, but like we have really solid decision making, and like we can
Mm.
win almost every lane we go in, so that's very good. And then Slushy, our mid, is like a god. I don't know. He just like he has like 4 champions that he'll just single-handedly win every game with. It's amazing to watch him play Nidalee, play Lulu, play Ziggs, play like Ribbon and stuff, and like all of those champions he can just dumpster people on.
Um,
So overall, the team like mechanics are very high.
okay, after this run, I was asking, is teammates staying together? Because you mentioned that California was leaving, but you didn't say anything for the rest of the team. Is the rest of the team going to try to requalify?
Um, I'm not sure if all of us will make it to the January qualification
Hmm.
level. I mean, like we might do the ranked fives tournament.
Mm.
I'm not 100% sure if we're staying together. It's very confusing because everyone keeps telling me that they're like retiring or like they're giving up league to start their score or whatever,
Hmm.
and then it turns out like no one was actually doing that. So like, I don't know. No idea.
Well, best of luck with that. I actually think that myself and a lot of community members do want you guys to stay together. You guys have had a very impressive performance.
Yeah.
Um, well, and then so moving on from you guys, I wanted to ask your quick thoughts on other teams in the amateur scene, like Cloud9, Complexity Black. Those two teams will, and Curse Academy. Those three teams will probably be battling it out along with LMQ for the LCS spots.
Yeah.
So could you give me a quick? What do you think about these teams and specifically their AD carries? Because they have some pretty like Mashme, Robert, Altec, and Vasily are all very well known by the
Yeah, all
community.
very, very strong AD carries. North America has like I would say a stronger pool of AD carries than any other role.
Mm.
So anyways, let's see. Curse Academy, I don't know if they're good or not. Like for some reason people tell me they're really, really good.
Mhm.
But I think in NACL playoffs we like low pro 2-1 them, I believe, and then we 2-0'd low pro.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like our metagame was way ahead of low pro, so like
Mhm.
we just tactically and strategically outplayed the shit out of them.
Mm. Um.
So Curse Academy, No idea how well they're doing. I think they're like seeded against LMQ, and then they have a third
Oh,
place match
yeah, they're
if they
gonna if
lose.
they lose this is a third place match.
Yeah, I don't see them beating LMQ at all. Like, I don't think they're on the same level of understanding of the meta, but they could improve really quickly. I don't know. I don't believe that their roster is like mechanically the best players in the universe, but they're just like above average everywhere. Mashmi is he's okay, I guess. I don't know. He doesn't do like anything crazy flashy and impressive to me, but I think he just plays very solid and I don't think he ever feeds me in solo queue, so I think he's smart.
What do you think about when the roster originally had Sheep in the support role? Do you think that team was stronger when they had the Mash Me Sheep bottom lane?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I forget who they're using. Is it K1 Pro?
No, it's a guy called Cabagon, I believe, or like on. It's like a very rotating position because apparently on Leaguepedia they picked up Diamond as their support, and there was a time when they used Zekin. Like I'm a little confused as to what their situation is too.
I'm very confused about their
Yeah.
situation too. Sheep was definitely the best support they could have gotten,
Hmm.
and everything is a downgrade from there. So off to like LMQ should definitely win it. I already think they're like ready for LCS. Reddit doesn't believe so. I think Reddit is wrong. I'm not gonna like publicly call them out too much on it, but they say that because they have trouble beating us, that somehow they aren't a shoe-in for LCS. But like you watch bottom LCS teams, and it looks like they have no idea what they're doing. They like don't play with strategy. It's like they don't 2v1 well. They don't pick smart for the 2v1. They don't like think about it. They just like pick random stuff and hope it works. And like to stay good and consistent, you need strategy. Otherwise, you're just winning off like flipping a coin. Like, ooh, my lane is better this game. Like, oh boy, I snowballed this lane. We won in 50 minutes against this bottom tier team. We're so good now. We're like, we're gonna make it. I don't know, like, you watch LMQ games and LMQ versus us, like, these objectives are getting snowballed really hard. Like, everything is being contested. Like, there's one point in an LMQ game where we had 5 pink wards on our side. All 5 of us had dropped a pink ward on the map. And like the vision control, the objectives are like everywhere. And then you watch LCS and it's like, oh look, Dignitas just threw it Baron. Lol. They don't know what they're doing. So anyways, LMQ, definitely a strong team. Basili is the best Caitlyn I've ever faced. Ever, ever, ever. And like I don't know
Yeah.
how he does it, but it just seems like he's so smooth. It's like it's art. He's dancing. Like that's such a generic like comparison, but he's just like this this flow. The flow of his Caitlyn walks in, hits me, walks back. It just happens hundreds of times in
Damn.
laning phase, and it's like so frustrating to go against. And like he inspired me to just play Caitlyn every game because she's rigged as hell. So then there's Complexity Black. They're actually really good, I think. I think they all make LCS from what I've seen in scrims. They definitely play a very strategically smart game. Robert and Bubba, they're okay. I think they're above average. So I think they're definitely better than like Azuna or Yellow Pete and Crepo and whatnot. So I think they're LCS level. Because especially their strategy is very, very solid. They play a very smart early game that shows that they actually think about their picks and whatnot. So Robert X Lee he's okay. I didn't like respect him for the longest time because of all the cheating and stuff that
Oh
happened.
yeah, yeah.
But he's alright now. I should really stop holding grudges against people. That's like something I've done. I'm just like I hate this guy because of some irrational reason. I hate our blood because he trolled me when I was trying to learn mid lane. He would go freaking Caitlyn and then like intentionally go 0-20. And it's
Uh,
like thanks Arflon. So
that's an
then
interesting
there's
way to keep the competition
yeah,
down.
yeah, he got me. It worked. He mind gamed me so hard. Anyways, Tempest is I don't know. I've not scrimmed Tempest in a while. We 3-0'd them in an ACL, and they had like many noticeable flaws. Like they didn't play with much strategy. Their early game was really bad. Alltech would get a massive gold lead on me, like 1 to 2,000 gold plus like a level or two,
Hmm.
and I would straight up hold him in lane. Like I knew my 0-2 Lucian was a lot weaker than his 2-0 Sivir,
Hmm.
but I would just clear the wave over and over, and my team would eventually win
Mm.
on the other lane because they like know how to rotate properly and stuff. So like we had this weird split push going in a lot of our games against
Hmm.
Tempest because we just like made really bad mistakes around Dragon. I think Tempest isn't that good. They didn't seem to know what they were doing against LMQ game 1.
Hmm.
Well, like they straight up forced a 2v1 with a weaker mid, meaning there's no jungle pressure mid. So Bishu got completely destroyed. They lost the 2v1. They lost like all the objectives. They were down like 10k in 10 minutes or something ridiculous like that. It that was like really bad. But then they like stalled it for like 40 minutes, which is very surprising to me. And then game 2, I forget what happens exactly. They lost it, but I don't know. Tempest is a bit worse than Complexity Black in my opinion. Alltech is he's alright, but he goes for the farm too much. Like he'll have games where he just farms jungle camps, farms the lane, and he'll do that for like 40 minutes straight. When I just do the exact same thing to him, even though I'm down like an item.
So do you not think that Cloud9 Tempest will make it into LCS playoffs? If you, sorry, the LCS. If you had to guess right now, your call.
Mm, like like the last split, I knew Tempest was the strongest team. I mean, they weren't called Tempest; they were called the
The
Walking
Walking
Zed.
Zed, yeah.
Yeah. So I was surprised that they were picked second.
Hmm.
Like super super surprised because I knew like just from watching them that they like had a really solid team synergy and it looked like Determined Gaming had like no team synergy and like no clue what they were doing. So like yeah, but now I think they'll be picked last and I do not know what LCS team they'll go against. So I mean, it's possible that all three challenger teams make it into LCS, and I guess it's possible that none of them can make it into LCS. But I don't
Hmm.
think Tempest is gonna be the first or second pick. I think they're gonna be picked against the strongest LCS team,
Oh, okay.
making their chances significantly worse.
Okay. Okay. I see. Um, all right. So now I wanted to move on to kind of meta talk and like, like kind of hypothetical questions, like thoughts on the scene in general. Because like you're known as that like theory crafter guy. Like you kind of
Kind
have
of.
a
I don't know. I think people don't know that I actually like theory craft a lot of stuff and like can play at a significantly high level. I don't know.
well. This is your chance to let people know.
Yeah.
What AD carry champions do you have your eye out on the moment? Like I've seen you talk extensively about Graves on Twitter, his positives and negatives. So we could start that and then move on to other AD carries. Do you think are good at the
All
moment?
right. So right now for the meta,
Hmm.
if you wanted to play a competitive game, you'd probably choose between Caitlyn, Jinx, Lucian, and Graves. Like, if you pick Caitlyn, there's very few counters,
Hmm.
but you really want to try to 2v2 that Caitlyn. Because what's going to happen if you 2v1 is Caitlyn's going to get the turret around the same time, but she can rotate mid and out pressure any other carry really, really hard. Like she's gonna be queuing, she's gonna be ulting, she's gonna be trapping. Like that mid turret's probably gonna go down if it's played correctly, which is gonna lead to a free dragon and vision control in their jungle, which is gonna lose buffs. So Caitlyn is actually pretty broken, but like there's very hard skill matchups you can do against Caitlyn. And one of them is like Ezreal plus a poke champion, or Jinx plus a all-in champion. What I would say is like the two things to do with that. But Ezreal's kind of like a risky pick. Ezreal is like he does everything above averagely, but he does nothing like not one thing like amazingly. But his level 6 against Caitlyn is broken, and like his laning is actually good against Caitlyn, despite like solo queue people believing that Ezreal is hard countered Caitlyn, Ezreal's actually the only thing, if played right, that can close the gap on Caitlyn and poke her down and kill her. So Caitlyn is probably the metagame pick, I would say. I would pick Lucian because I would have mid-game kill potential at like level 6. Lucian has kill potential on everyone, and he can out 1v1 basically every champion in the game. You drop your W and your ult on someone, and you move like 50 move speed faster than 40 move speed faster than them, and like you can land a perfect culling no matter what. Since you move faster than them, their attempts to juke you will not work that well. And like Lucian has a lot of burst damage. He just craps on everything if he doesn't lose laning phase hard. But Graves is a very hard counter to Lucian in my opinion. I picked Graves before he was buffed and before anyone was playing him in NACL. One game against Cloud9 Tempest, they like I think they might have banned Caitlyn, picked Lucian, but I picked Graves into Altix Lucian and I like dumpstered him because Graves is very strong against Lucian. I don't know if the bust to Graves would make him that strong. Like Graves in the mid late game, if he's even or behind, he's like not very good. Because that's just how it is fundamentally. If you have bonus AD and low base attack speed and low range, your late game's gonna be bad if you're not like even or ahead. So like all his bonus AD ratios are useless if he's like even or behind in items. Jinx, however, is skill matchup against everyone, and she's really good at snowballing. Like she can ult in these like mid game dragon fights and pick up free kills for her to snowball her like gold advantage. So yeah, I would say those like 4 or 5 are kind of the metagame picks. And the rest I don't like ever want to blind pick,
Mhm.
but some of them have their own advantages. But like the Sivir days are kind of over in my opinion of people running face row tanks. It's all about like the 2v1 outplaying.
I wanted to ask about a few new picks that have cropped up that you didn't mention. A lot of Corki has been played in the LCS right now.
God.
You're not a fan. You're not. You kind of flinched back. You're not a fan.
I do not have a clue why people are picking Corki. Like with Karma, he's actually really viable, but Corki just does everything on an average level. He's got very average damage. His escape has a very long cooldown and can be very easily stopped. His poke is does not do that much damage. I don't know. Like on most AD carries, they have AD spells, and you build a Last Whisper because it makes your AD spells do more damage. It has the armor pen work with it. So Corki has missiles and Q, which are both magic damage, of course. He also has a passive that has zero synergy with other items and everything. So Corki is this like 550 range champion that needs to like snowball early game, and then he can like siege for days. But I would just rather pick Caitlyn. She's much safer. I think Corki is. You know what? I'll just go out and say Corki's terrible, because like there's situations where I'd pick like certain champions over Corki every single time.
Um, okay, so some other AD carries that have been played in OGN. Do you watch OGN at all?
Yeah.
They've been
Wait.
very prioritizing Twitch, and
Yeah.
Kog'Maw and Vayne have seen some spotty play also. Could you give some thoughts
Yeah.
on these three characters?
Twitch is. He's got skill matchups against everyone. I think Twitch fell out of favor when the poke meta was kind of in full effect. Because with Twitch, you're 550 range, and if you got poked down by like Leona and stuff, I mean not Leona, Sona, Sona, Lulu, Zyra, all completely like hard countered Twitch. So that's why he like fell out of favor. His early game got nerfed a bit, and his like Q I think got a 10% attack speed nerf. I'm not like 100% sure on that, but his expunge got nerfed for sure. But overall, his damage output has not changed in the slightest. And Twitch is just a risky pick because he doesn't like have the escape, but Twitch does a good amount of damage output. It's kind of like the Draven thing. People wouldn't pick Draven because he had no escape, even though he did like ridiculous amounts of damage. So Twitch doesn't do like that much ridiculous damage, but I still think he's really good.
Um,
But he doesn't fast push hard, and if he auto attacks a champion, he can't stand in turret range for 6 seconds, which makes him a very viable 2 versus 2 champion because that would make the game drag out longer and make sieging less important for like the snowball because like the gold percentage ratio and whatnot will not be like snowballed to hell after one turret. So then there's Kog'Maw. The chain stick W is amazing for Kog'Maw. Like I think that might make him viable. The Q change is kind of a wash. I'm not too sure how I feel about it. Like his Q has some of the highest like front-loaded stats for any one skill. Like it gives all the penetration, magic damage, increases his attack speed, and it has a very short cooldown or whatever. But with Cog's changed to W, he can now like attack the minion wave easier. He's not gonna get zoned out as easily, and he can just W and like lifesteal back up. So I think Cog is alright. He wasn't picked during like the tank meta because his early mid game damage was just garbage. Like there was no item that you could really get to make him useful in the early mid game besides Blade of the Ruin King, but that's generally not like a build most Kog'Maws go for. And then the other one was
Vayne. It's been played a lot by SKT. According to Monte Cristo, it's to tower dive. So.
as the like tower diving thing kind of evolves, people
Mhm.
are starting to try different things. Like some people I've seen have correctly brought two people to the turret and like defended it in a like 3 vs 1, and to counter that, people have now been bringing four people to the turret. So like Vayne, yeah, she's definitely a strong turret diver, but if she's in a 2v2, like she generally has a lot of trouble. But I don't know. If you apply the proper jungle pressure, her 2v2 is like fine. But if Vayne falls behind, she's kind of crappy. I don't think she's like that amazing of a champion though. That's why I don't play Vayne too much. I played her once in LCS and won, but I think my team just carried me really hard in that game. Even though I got like 2 quadra kills or something. I feel like I didn't do that much on Vayne. I just like cleaned up. Vayne's alright. I don't know. She doesn't have range, which makes sieging harder, but she has condemn, which makes the dives much stronger.
Is there any other like champion or like item or like type some meta decision that you'd like to bring up right now that you thought was cool? Or
Hmm. I don't know. Like, I think BT is a problem in the game. Because everyone's gonna rush a BT,
hmm
because there's a lot of champions that have AD scaling on their skills, and BT also pushes down the turn much faster. So, like, on Draven, Graves, Jinx, Caitlyn, Misfortune, and Varus. I would say BT first item is like a must. Like I would highly avoid ever going any other item first item. And Lucian it's really good on too. Because what happens is you get that item and it's got so much gold efficiency and it's like the first item you can buy really with your gold that has like a crap load of gold efficiency. So it just like completely snowballs it away.
so you
You just do so much you just do so much damage from spells, and like you get the stacks, and the enemy if they don't have their BT yet and they finally get it, they're like down 30 stacks or something. And it's got so much sustain in it that you just can't deal with it. I don't know. There's not enough like activatable items in League to allow counterplay to flat stats advantage.
so you just think that Bloodthirster is like an overpowered item? You would nerf it if you were right.
I don't know. It's hard to balance it out. Like I think there needs to be more unique mechanics in the game. Like when you're behind in items, you can only outplay people with your spells and summoners. So like if your kit isn't strong enough, you have a 0% chance of winning a 1 vs 1. Unless you're Lucian. Lucian has the kit that can out 1v1 anyone. But if you're not Lucian, chances are you're gonna get completely dumpstered. Like I don't know. That's like the only item that's like problematic. There's no like secret metagame OP items really. Yeah, there's not like anything really.
Speaking of items, a player, I normally don't like to ask people about players they haven't played against before, but since you're kind of like someone who enjoys theory crafting, what do you think of Genja's building? Like he's building some pretty funny items on AD.
Well, you have to give me examples because he just does random things and like 90% of the time I know he's just trolling. Like
Uh,
straight up, he's trolling and has no idea. Or he's
He's
trolling or
trolling and
has
has
no
no idea.
idea what he's doing. But I'm 90% sure he knows what he's doing, so he's trolling.
At IEM, he insisted upon building, I believe, Bloodthirster PD and then third item Zephyr. Do you not think that's? I take it you don't think that's a good build?
Yeah, that's not very. That doesn't sound like very synergistic with each other. I don't know. Zephyr you can make work, but like most items you can make it work, but it's just not like the maximum efficiency. And like Darien, like when he like does those weird item fails, you know he's straight up trolling. And like people are confused about Genja because he's done like first item Triforces before and stuff, and like triple Dorans, which wasn't bad before, but now it's like sucks. So I don't know. I think Genja knows what he's doing for the most part. And like the times where it's like highly questionable, he's just straight up trolling because he knows he's either won or lost the game.
All right, so moving on to my last question. What team would you, if you had to build a team out of all amateur players, including yourself, who would you pick? Like, if you had to put together a 5-man squad, you can be on this team, a 5-man squad to qualify for the LCS. Who would you pick?
Well, for all the amateur players, I don't know. Like Xiao Wei Zhao mid is probably the easiest choice. I don't think there's like another mid that is as dominant as he is. For the most part, like in every single NA Challenger Series game, he just like crushes people. Like Slushy can go even against him, but everyone else just loses hard. So I think Slushy's really good. I wish I could put him as a sub down. For a bot lane, if we have to of me, like I think if like I'm in a coaching position, I could make the team significantly better. I just dump Vasily and more there. I mean, crap. They know what they're doing. But I don't know. If I put myself on there, I'd just pick like any supports that would surprise me. I don't know. Like all supports are kind of evenish right now, I would say. None of them like straight up dominates the lane 1v2 because like the understanding of bot lane for AD carries is very strong.
Mhm.
So I'd probably just pick a random solo queuer like God bless Yuno. She's in Challenger. Asuka Hybrid. 200 points. Okay, in top lane. Hmm. Top lane. Probably have to go with Ackerman. Like, yeah, I don't think there's anyone's as like consistent as Ackerman either. Like Ackerman and Xiao Wei Zhao seem to win their lanes really hard in the LMQ games. It just seems like a really boring analysis, but this team would
No,
definitely
this is
like
it's
dominate.
jungler.
Yeah, so now for a jungler, I mean, do you pick No Name, who is generally the main reason a lot of LMQ games are lost? Like No Name will give away double buffs early, which is weird. I'm not sure why he does some of the things he does, but like No Name's generally very good, but for the best jungler, hmm. Honestly, I think Broken Shard is good enough to be like the all amateur
All amateur
jungler.
jungler team. All amateur
Yeah.
team is LMQ with Broken Shard and Maple Street as the coach.
Essentially, yes. That seems to like single out No Name, but I think Broken Shard plays a very like strategically smart game, and that he knows he will not make the random mistake that No Name might make one in every 20 games.
I see. This is just about nearing the end of the interview. So, do you have any last words, thoughts that you'd like to put out, or?
I don't know. Please pick me up for LCS. I
Um,
want to go to Worlds, but I don't know. I'm just gonna keep trying to go pro, so I'm just gonna play like Scrim solo queue all day. Sorry, I've been streaming much, cause yeah, I don't think I've streamed in the past week, but I think I'll try to stream some more. But we have a Black Monster Cup finals. Hope everyone cheers us on there, and we might have another tournament. I don't know about. We might also play in the ranked fives ladder thing for the qualifiers to the next LCS. And besides that, yeah, cheer on teammate. Yeah.